It's playoff football. It's
It
got to
is.
be great. That just raises the level up a notch or two.
Let's before we get into those playoff games, let's talk some front office stuff that
Mhm.
you're very familiar with. Some news: Adam Schefter's pushing forward right now that the Bears are requesting permission to interview Steelers Vice President Omar Khan for their GM job, per a league source. How's this process go? Will the Steelers just grant that permission? And also, do you think that what does this say for the prospects of because I think Brandon Hunt should get Kevin Colbert's job, but like, what's the lay of the land with all of this?
Well, lay of the land is I would foresee them granting him permission, unless the only reason I would see they not grant him permission if they say we're not going to grant permission, but here's the plan going forward for you, and that's the only way I could see that happen. Now, the lay of the land and how it goes is what you want to do is for the general manager search, a lot of it's going to be, and I hate to say it, it's just the way the world is, agent driven and agent push, which agents put names to media starts saying this person should be out there, this person should be there. And that's when you get, especially when you have search firms leading that aren't really in the nitty gritty of what it takes to be a GM or who they should look at, they're going to go with the hot names and stuff. Now, the second part of it is, okay, what do you want? Do you want a traditional scout GM to lead your team, or do you want more of that cap business guy to lead your team? And it's funny because I was reading a story the other day about GM hires and how the prevalent thought is you need a guy that was a scout. But if you look at the stats, and I hate to say this because I don't have it in front of me, but it is the teams that are led by cap guys are actually have better results than the ones that are led by traditional. Now there's more, so the sample size is a little bigger. But if you look at Mickey Loomis at New Orleans, Brandon Beane at Buffalo, and Howie Roseman at Philly, if you take that, their success, it's on a greater scale than the ones that are leading by
But
traditional.
does one
guys.
football guy trump all of that in New England?
One football coach,
Right.
Yes, yes.
But you see what I'm saying?
You know what trumps all of that? One goat. The quarterback.
Right.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who finds
yeah,
him as long as you
yeah,
find him.
Exactly. As long as you have him on the team.
Well, that being said, in your opinion then, forget the numbers and the story that you read. In your opinion, what do you think works best? Is it got to be a football first guy or a numbers first guy?
I'll say this, and we were talking before. I was a GM, obviously, and then I went and I was the senior vice president of football operations of XFL. If I would have had that experience of being a senior vice president of football operations in building a league where I was on it, I was exposed to everything from helmets and the three different types of helmets and what goes in the helmets. And if you put in a helmet something that's not, then it validates the warranty. I mean, it doesn't validate it. It makes the warranty null and void. Knowing stuff like that and then adding my background as a scout, I would have been a way better general manager. All the way from when you go to a hotel on the team hotel, you got to worry about the IT. I mean, this is getting right down, but in the contract, they could charge you $20,000 a day just to hook up to their servers. So things like that. That as a GM, you walk in, you get your key, and you go in a hotel. You don't worry about all that planning and stuff. But that's the type of stuff building an organization. And for me, and a lot of people think general managers just picking the best players, in which I thought we did a good job. But it's about building organization. That's where those cap guys, they have that global macro view of the organization, not just the football team.
Since a couple of my questions with Mike Tomlin didn't get anywhere yesterday, I'll hit. What about you?
What about me?
Yeah.
I'm out. You got to look at it. Look at all the names that are. It's another wave. I caught my wave of young, up-and-coming personnel people. I rode that wave. I was blessed enough to get that. Now it's for another group. It's another young group. Now, if someone said, hey, Brandon Hunt gets it, or somebody that I worked with, or I try to mentor some guys, and they say, I want you to be a senior advisor, like I did with Ronnie Hughes, that was with the Steelers for a long time. When he retired from the Steelers, I was like, come with me, man. I need a sounding board. Then I would entertain it, but I'm having a really good job. Come on, guys. Are you trying to kick me out of here?
Right.
Come on, fellas.
I know.
I thought we had something good
I
going
don't know
here.
if we
I mean, you
pay
could do
quite that
both,
much.
right? You could do both.
It's
Yes.
908. Yeah, if you do.
Yeah, that would be great.
That's how it's going to work. Actually, we're telling you that. It's in your contract. If anybody gets the GM job, they have to come on with us at 9 o'clock on
Favorite
Wednesdays.
time of the week.
Yeah, absolutely. It's 9:09 and a good time for an insurance checkup by the Buell Insurance Agency. All right, let's nail this down just a little bit more, though, because Brandon Hunt has done a lot of different things. He's done pro scouting. He's done college scouting. He's dealt a little bit with contract stuff. Just why would, because that's a hot name here, and he's come through the system in totality, why would Brandon Hunt be a good general manager for the Pittsburgh Steelers?
I think, in my opinion, if you look at the Steelers and what they really put their heart behind is continuity and familiarity. And with him being there, being as an intern under me and training under there, but also having going to Houston and having another perspective of how things are done and to come back. And then when it comes down to it, it's the ability to work with the coach, because that GM and the head coach have never been linked in such a way than they are now in the construct of an organization. He knows what Tomlin wants, knows how Tomlin works, and can anticipate what Tomlin. So Tomlin doesn't have to educate a new GM here and say, hey, this is how we do it. This is the Steeler way. He knows it. So for me, if I'm Art, I'm going to promote both of them. I'm going to have Omar and Brandon split the duties of what Kevin did, or a traditional GM, and have them grow. And then you can have those guys not only as long as Tomlin's here, but when Tomlin goes, then they can bring in one of their own coaches, and then it's just a seamless transition, in my opinion. That's
where does Danny Rooney fit in this mix? Because you know that he's going to be elevated at some point, right?
Yeah. Then he's right under. That's where he starts learning under Omar, and then ultimately becomes the president. And when Art starts to fade away,
Do you anticipate there's any way they would not go in house once Kevin retires?
No, there's a definite possibility, and I talked about this when they hired Tomlin, because Tomlin was outside of the organization. Whisenhunt was the odds-on favorite, so they may go in and they'll do a search, and they usually, and that's why they've been successful. When they go into a search, coach's search, any search there in that organization, they go in with an open mind, not with any preconceived notions of who they want or what they want. They want to see what the best candidate is out there. So that could be a possibility. But right now, without knowing the candidates, I would just put them as odds favorite.
You said something, and this is true, obviously, that Brandon has worked with Mike Tomlin, knows what Mike wants, know what Mike likes. Would it behoove them, however, to bring somebody in as an outside voice that doesn't, and I don't want to say has to disagree with everything, but just somebody that has a different viewpoint of, you guys have been doing it like this, but maybe you should think about doing it like that?
There's some merit to that, but I would say that no, because I hate to say it. Yes, there's some merit to that, but I would say knowing your coach, especially as a personnel man, the way I looked at it and the way I was taught from Kevin Colbert, from the end of the season to camp, the personnel people take the lead in the organization, and coaches come in supportive role. Once camp starts, it's all the head coach and the coaching staff, and then personnel comes in as a supporting role. So it flips. Now, an outside voice, yes, it could bring in new ideas and new ways to look at it, but what is the core? And this is where I said last time, this is when Art needs to put that stamp on the organization. And here's another decision that he's going to start saying, this is my team, and this is what I'm going to do, and this is what. So when he establishes that, then get that best person to enact what he wants to do, that culture and that identity under Art. And if it's someone from the outside, everybody's got to be on the same page. That's all. You can't have someone with a different agenda. And that's one of the reasons why I think they like to stay in-house, because there's no agenda in Pittsburgh except to win.
If I were to tell you, though, because you know him, right? And in full disclosure, I know him too. But if I were to tell you, forget about the experience with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mm-hmm. Brandon Hunt would be a good GM for your football team, no matter what it's named, because he brings you this. And forget about because he was an intern here and all that. What does he do football-wise that you like?
He understands how to construct a team. There's a difference between scouting and identifying good players, and then being able to construct a team, because you don't always have to have great players to have a great team. If you look at New England, they had the GOAT, but before he started really taking over the team, they had a great team. Their defense was a great team. They had a nice offensive line.
And you plug in some Division III lacrosse player
Yes,
and go,
exactly.
where the hell did this
Look,
guy come from?
Exactly, because you have a great team. So one of the things that I struggled with in my tenure, every 2 years we were changing coaches. So I had to get players that transcended any type of systems. So I had to get great players. I couldn't build a great team because I didn't know we went from a 4-3 to a 3-4 back to a 4-3. We went to different offensive systems. So you're like, okay, I don't know who's going to be playing, but I know a Shady McCoy can play in any system.
Mm-hmm.
I know a Marcel Darius can play in any system. So you just got to get good players. So, but again, in a system that there's people, there are organization there that's been continuity, Brandon knows how to build a good team.